I'm Kat, and welcome to my video where I talk about my quest to learn archery. So I've given archery a try once or twice in the distant past. I don't remember much about these experiences, but I do remember I quite enjoyed it, even though I never got any good at it. Also, during the pandemic, I've been playing a lot of In Death Unchained on the Oculus Quest 2, and that's really sort of ignited a fire in me to learn archery for real. So for my birthday, my wonderful and amazing husband, Dan, Make a Geek, check out his channel, whisked me away for a fancy hotel break for a couple of days, and during those couple of days we had the chance to do an archery taster session, which is just the 1 hour, but yeah, I think when you're out of practice, when you've never been in practice, what 1 hour and have noodle arms like these, 1 hour is quite enough, I think, for a start at least. Okay, so the setup was £20 recurve bows. The targets were 20 feet away, and they were low to the ground. So the entire setup was designed so that we could aim the arrows pretty much parallel to the ground and have them just drop down into the target. And other than it being, well, pretty windy, we were all set up for success whatever our skill level was. My skill level was quite low, but my husband had done a lot of archery about 15 years ago. He was a very regular archer, so I felt like it came back to him very quickly. So yeah. By contrast, I managed to hit the target with all but 3 of my arrows, and I was happy with that. So, all in all, it was great fun. And yeah, I'm looking forward to learning archery in earnest. So, what I learned from this one taster session for archery. So I learned that actually £20 is a really good pull weight for me. The arrows made it to the target, and one of them even made it twice as far as the target and hit the back wall of the walled garden we were in. Don't worry, no one was downrange. It was all very signposted and locked off to the general public. So yeah, I was worried that my entire lack of arm strength would be where I would have difficulty with archery as a sport. But I was quite glad that actually beginner bows just felt just fine for me, and it wouldn't be a barrier to entry, and it would be something that I could actually work on as part of the learning process. So the second thing was that I expected that any aches and pains I felt would be in my string arm, in the arm that was actually making the movement to draw the string. So I'm right-handed. I was holding the bowl in my left and doing the pull-in with my right, and that's where I thought, or on this side at least, is where I would feel most of the aches and pains. Now the chap gave us a good talk about, don't pull like this, like a chicken wing, because that'll hurt the side. Make sure you sort of keep the elbow high so that it's sort of the upper back and shoulder doing the work. So that, given that was the setup and part of his initial explanation, I really thought that was where I was going to be feeling everything. But actually, it was the arm which was having to keep a static frame and keep the bow held up whilst not being locked, which was, I think, my biggest struggle, was remembering to relax it but keep it firm, and that's where I ended up feeling all of the ache. So that was a surprise to me, but yeah, quite interesting. Not enough to stop me going, but enough that I was like, yeah, you know, an hour's about right, and then have a tea break when learning archery for real. I could definitely see there being diminishing returns to carry on for longer than that. Okay, and there was the third thing. What was the third thing I learned? Gonna have to check my notes. Ah, yes! So my third learning point, which I didn't actually learn during the learning, was that where you pull the string on your fingers actually makes quite a bit of difference. So I was pulling it quite deep. I had the string right in the crease there of my first knuckle when I was pulling it back, and my husband actually was holding the string very much on his fingertips, and we didn't realise we were doing it differently until after the session, when Dan looked at me and said, "Oh, I was so impressed that you made it through that whole session without asking for tabs," because he got the leather tabs off the instructor quite early on. And he said that even with the tabs, his fingertips were feeling quite pain. And I was like, oh, I wasn't actually holding it with my fingertips. I had it sort of snugged in what I considered a fairly obvious crease to put a straight thing in, which didn't hurt as much apparently as putting it on my fingertips. So I then had a moment of like, have I been doing this wrong for the entire taster session? But having looked at the internet, the fount of all knowledge, I found out that actually maybe both are quite legit, that you can hold it deep like I was doing, or shallow like he was doing, and that they both have their advantages and disadvantages. Sort of a deep hold is more secure for whilst you keep in hold of the string, but maybe a bit of a scruffier release, and a fingertip lets you have a smoother release. You know, your fingers are interfering with the string less during the release, but perhaps it's, well, A, more painful, and B, slightly less secure to keep it held for a long time. So when I do learn archery for real, I'm going to make sure to ask that question and get a little bit more information from the person who is teaching me, and also try a few different points of holding the string on my fingers to see what works best for me. I know that from knowing my own psychology, I know that because I'm a control freak and I like everything to be just so and in control, that I know that's probably why I naturally went to I'm pretty much, you know, got a lot more of my hand wrapped around this string for security and for that control feeling, and that's why that felt natural to me. So yes, it'd be interesting to see whether it would pay me to unlearn that and to loosen up just a little bit. So yeah, so thank you for joining me in my video, and I hope that to see you again further along my archery journey. In the next video on this subject, I'm going to be talking about the equipment I need to pursue archery as a hobby, and archery. So in the next video, I'm going to be talking about the equipment that I need to pursue archery as a hobby, and I hope to see you there. Have a smashing day.